Hey everybody, happy Sunday. Hope everybody's safe and blessed. And I am trying out a new show. It's me, the Sepia Scholar, aka V. And I wanted to try out a show called Sistas on BET. It's Tyler Perry's sister because he got to put his name on the front. I am definitely a fan of Tyler Perry, at least his original stage plays, some of his older movies. We know he's had some train wrecks with Fall from Grace. He's known for having people with dusty wigs and crazy plot lines and even crazier dialogue. He loved to put a light skin versus a dark skin man in a movie as a villain versus the hero. And it's always some woman that's struggling to find love and getting done dirty by a dark skinned dude. But that being said, the stage plays, I live for the singing, I live for the stories, and it's always a good time. And he definitely has some classic movies with Diary of a Mad Black Woman, Medea Goes to Jail, so on and so forth. Those Boo movies was pretty damn terrible, but I learned to love acrimony, but would love to do a video about acrimony and the dustiness of it all. But either way, that being said, I'm going to do a review and recap of Sisters season 4, episode 1. This was a request. Thank you for who requested it. I appreciate it. And we're going to go ahead and kick that off. Let me look at my notes. And thank you for any new subscribers. I really appreciate you. I'm just trying out this channel and I'm having a great time doing it. I might take a day off tomorrow because you got to refresh, get your energy back to keep these reviews going. So let's get started. So the episode starts off with Andy being ripped out of a nightmare where her ex Gary is brought in to join in a threesome, and when she wakes up, she's next to Robin. So sorry, one more disclaimer. I do not watch this show, so it was very hard for me. I probably watched the first episode of season 1. It was very hard for me to figure out who is who, the names. So you might hear some old girls and dude over there. So please forgive me. So either way, she's in bed next to Robin. So one thing I wanted to point out is kudos to her sleeping in a. She's supposedly smashed the night before, and she is in a full beat, bedazzled dangly earrings, and a sexy jewel tone bra. I mean, she was looking good. I mean, for her to have put in some work the night before, she was put together. But it's the Tyler Perryness of it all. So she's freaking out because he tells her that it's after 9 and she's late for work. He calms her down because he called into Fatima to let her know she's going to be late. So, but she gets upset because this is supposed to be a sneaky link, and now she thinks Fatima's going to know that they're together. So, newsflash: Robin is her boss. Um, so you don't want to have fraternizing, right? So she's trying to leave, but he stops her because he says she only talks to him when she's drunk. So she's drunk texting dudes all the time. So she says she looks paused, she's kind of caught off guard, and she says, yeah, I kind of call guys when I'm drunk, all the time when they say it's because I'm too aggressive when I drink, but in real life I'm super shy. So she's like, she has to get to work. Robin's like, calm down, I'm the boss. And she says that's all the reason she needs to go. He says, why don't you go to London with me? I'm going to present a settlement to a client. And he already has the plane gassed up and ready, a private jet. So he got that money. And she still says she can't do it. And he says he doesn't ask more than once. She said, okay, I'll go next time for sure. Robin tries to, correct her and hit again, but she's like, I gotta go. He says he really likes to sober her. He likes her personality. So he asks if she's gonna see him when he gets back. She's like, most definitely. So then with a Tyler Perry show, we always get an overview of ATL. So you get a nice, beautiful overview of ATL, all the buildings, all the beautiful people. And now we're at Danny's apartment, where Preston, that's a fine ass white man. I think they say he mixed, but I don't know what he is, but he's fine. It's all awkward because Preston found her with another guy at her place. He asked who the guy is, and she says a friend. And with a big attitude. The friend is super fine with an F-boy haircut. I need to put it like a flash on the screen. I love an F-boy haircut. It's not good for me. It's toxic, but I love it. Preston is pissed, and old boy is walking around cheesing like all of a sudden he's bust out. I don't know a proper way to say it, but he's like, hey. He like, damn, Danny, you always getting the fine ones. And so it appears he's one of the rainbow people, or at least pretending to be one, to get out of there in one piece. And he basically takes it up a notch. And he said he loves a cowboy. He loves a good cowboy, and Preston is fine as shit. His words, not mine, but I agree. Danny starts laughing, making these crazy faces, and asks Fuego, who's apparently the F boy's name, who is he right now? She tells him to stop because his gay, or his impersonation of gay, is offending the class. He said it worked before, so obviously he's been in these situations being caught in an apartment, some chick's apartment when their dude gets home. So that's a backstory. But Preston was like, "What the hell? What's going on?" Fuego Fuego gets ready to leave, and he's like, "See you, bro." And Preston says, "What the hell? Is that dude licking your butt too?" And Danny asks him, "What is this preoccupation with my ass crack?" And he says he's just asking. So apparently she been meeting some eat a booty gang type dudes while she's been out in these streets when she's broken up with Preston. So he's like, he's just asking. She asks what he's doing here, and he said he just wanted to stop by. She said, "So you don't call, you don't text, you've been ignoring me, and you just show up?" And he's like, "I lost my phone." She said, "Oh, that's a new one for you." She asks if his fake cousin through marriage knows that he's there. So there must be some drama with that. Like I said, I just started this show. I probably got to watch the previous seasons to know what's really going on, but we're going to start from here. Um, yeah, so she basically is going to give him a "it's not you, it's me" talk, because he's like, "I thought you would be happy to see me," right? And she's like, "I don't like you stopping by." Then she goes into the speech. She says our relationship started off wrong, and she's been working on her and listening to podcasts, all in order to constructively say that whatever she's had on her mind. He says, you always say what's on your mind." She says, "Not when it comes to you," which is usually how it is when you're in love. You don't want to hurt people's feelings. You don't want to tell them how you really feel. So she says, "You keep showing up unannounced, even having the landlord let you in, but it's supposed to be okay because you're nice and you have flowers. And that's only part of the problem." He basically tells her he's going to act right. He always tells her he's going to act right, but he always comes back doing some flaw shit in a different way. She says she's still traumatized from the time he chained her to the bed and told her to beg him and called her a gal to let him go. And I'm like, so y'all doing some slave cosplay? Are you serious right now? This is some old crazy Tyler Perry shit for real. So I wouldn't even have gone along with that. But she says also he makes her uncomfortable in her own home. He says he apologizes for that. And he's like, "You never give me any credit." And she's like, "You've dated black women your whole life, and you didn't realize you were recreating the Middle Passage with all this slave shit." And she says, "You want credit without doing the work, and that's called white privilege." So she done hit him with the white privilege card, and she's like, "Do the work." So she's telling him to get right and do the work. And as I'm watching this scene, I know it's supposed to be deep and dramatic and everything, but all I can notice is that she looks exactly like Tawanda Braxton. I'm like, they could be twins. It distracted me through the whole show. Tawanda's thick too, but she's extra thick, whoever this girl is, and she looks exactly like her, and it's distracting me. But either way, back to the show. He says it's okay, and he's sorry, and she points out that his brothers threatened her life at her job and beat him bloody. And she brought him into her safe space, and he let his sister in without her permission. So she felt betrayed and unsafe in her home. I think that's extra flaw because she felt like he's like his sisters are not like them, and that doesn't matter because the brothers could have like jumped the sister since they were okay with beating you up and get her dressed and come up and do harm to her. So she was scared in her own house. And he's upset because instead of telling him, she held it against him. And then he just turned around and tried, flip the script. When you're wrong and you don't want anybody to know that you're wrong and you just want to get back at the person. And he tried to flip the script on her. He said, "You're just saying all this because you want to screw a lot of guys and I'm in your way. Understood." And she's like, "I said all that and that's what you heard?" And he was like, "You know what? Don't call me again." And she says, "No problem." And he says that the whole thing is bullshit. And she goes, "No, what's bullshit is you get away being with all this crap by being cute and nice, and you're never called out." So he storms out and leaves. Lord, she done broke up with the white dude, the fine one. So Then we turn over to Fatima. We see Fatima walking wearing a white dress. She is wearing that white dress and she's super thick, looking like a jug of milk. And there are flowers everywhere. The assistant says that they're for Andy, and she grabs some to, basically have an excuse to go to her office. And she starts poking around her office, being nosy as hell. And Andy sees her through the office window and comes in surprised at all the flowers. They both wonder who sent them. And all of a sudden it comes to her mind and she's like, Gary. And I'm like, they did a little recap in the beginning of the show. So Gary's her ex that fought to get her back after he was all grimy and she caught him doing a threesome and shit. It was a whole bunch of drama. It all went by fast. But either way, she said if they're from Gary, go ahead, Fatima, and send them to the children's hospitals. She asked Fatima to have a seat. They start talking. Fatima saying that she's great, and she notices that Fatima has some red stains on her sleeve of that beautiful white dress. And Fatima's looking all spooked and like she did something, and she says, "Oh, it's from some fruit juice she drank earlier." And I'm like, okay, here comes the suspense. Some bullshit about to go on. So to change the subject, Fatima asked how her night was going and if she had seen Karen. So I guess that's Fatima's romantic rival from what I've disseminated. And she asked how Karen is, and Andy says she's upset about Fatima. And Fatima says Andy says that Karen actually asked her to invite Fatima to their gathering, and Fatima's like, hell no, I don't trust it. I'm not going to go. But in the meantime, she keeps questioning Andy, so now Andy's suspicious of why she wants to know what Karen said and what was going on. So she asked Andy what else she did that night, and she's like, I went out with Robin. So she just threw it out on the table. I thought she was trying to hide it, but then she threw it out there. It was weird. It didn't make sense in the plot. Andy says they need to focus on work, and Fatima leaves, but she definitely wants to come back and get the details on that D. So I was like, okay, so they homegirls like that. All right. So it goes over to Karen, and Karen comes into the salon, and a mystery woman in a really bad dry-ass bob wig is waiting for her. Tyler Perry's known from dusty-ass wigs. And Pam, another cute lady, she's wearing a leather skirt and everything. She's all put together. I was like, okay, leather skirts. And she tells her, you got a mystery lady. I don't know who she is, but I'll be over here. Tell her to come to you. So just in case she decides to get froggy and jump, Pam could beat that ass. She's ready to scrap. So like I said, the lady looks like a cop, got the dry bob, little suit, and she's looking for Zach. I know who Zach is because I know who Duvall is, right? She's looking for Zach for a legal matter. And what's her name? Karen tells the lady that she can't help her because he doesn't live with her. So the cop asks when's the last time she's seen Zach. She says she doesn't remember. So Karen is a ride or die. She's not about to snitch, right? So she asks her what it's about, and the cop says, I can't tell you what it's about. So Karen says, if you can't tell me what it's about, I have nothing else to say. And the cop leaves. So Karen turns around and is about to call Zach, which is super dumb because everybody knows most of the time if they came to see you, they're already watching you and they probably tapped your phone. And Pam is like, yeah, they're probably tracking your phone. You don't want to do that. But it probably has something to do with all that money he just got. And we got to figure out if it's legal or illegal. So she's like, I'm going to go to his place talking about she knows how not to be tracked. I'm like, girl, they could have a damn GPS on your car. Like, this doesn't make any damn sense. But we're going to ride along with Tyler Perry and his foolishness. But the funny thing to me was Pam is sitting around and she wants people to be messy with her so bad. She was trying to bait the other stylist to ask her what was going on so she could say she don't tell people's business. But it was a cute little extra scene. Pam must be somebody's cousin because they had her extended ass scene for no reason. But whatever. So they turn over to Sabrina. Sabrina walks into the office while Maurice is working. And he's acting cold and dry. So she leaves. She backs out. So since I know nothing about this show, I guess I'm going to find out why he's mad. So while Maurice is doing an audit, counting money, Q calls him, collect call from jail, and says the DA is going to give him a deal. And Maurice is pissed off. He's like, you're probably sleeping with her too. So either they go together or I don't know what the hell going on, but let's ride with it. And Q's like, yeah, she's fine, but I would do it, but I'm going to get out soon. But I just want to emphasize that I'm not a snitch. He's like, oh, at least you didn't do that. And he's like, okay, when I get out, can I come stay with you? And Maurice is like, hell no, because I guess he had robbed him blind before, and he made all these promises to go into the program and make sure he's not a klepto and all this little crazy shit. But Maurice stood firm on that note. Then they skip over to Danny. Danny calls Sabrina to tell her about Preston. She says Preston left, stormed off, and told her that Fuego was there. And she's like, "What's going on with Fuego?" And Fuego, she's like, "I would never date Fuego. He's a stripper." And she doesn't want to talk about him anymore. She says Preston stormed out and says he won't call. And Sabrina says she doubts that it will last that long. And Danny says it's probably going to last forever. They're not compatible, and he doesn't understand her. So basically, she asked her, because they're on the phone, is the panty man there? And she's like, yeah, the panty man, just AKA Calvin. I'm going to check and make sure that's the right name, because there was a whole lot of people in this episode had showed up at Sabrina's job. Sabrina asked him to talk to Maurice for her. She mentioned his father. He's upset because she mentioned his father, which I guess is the root of all his sadness and everything, and it hurt his feelings. And Calvin, or the panty man, I might as well call him the panty man from now on, says he would talk to him, and he goes in at his own risk, according to Sabrina. They're going to meet for dinner tonight. So Mr. Pantyman goes in with Maurice, and Maurice is bothered. Maurice is bold enough to call the man a bitch, clowns his tight pants, and then the Pantyman tempts him by saying he has a friend he can hook him up with after work. He says he knows gay guys, and he has a friend that's coming to town. So he says, if I'm going to talk to this dude, the dude has to come to my house. So he tells him to stop Sabrina, to keep from bothering him. And basically, he's like, she keeps bothering you because she loves you. And Maurice says he would never love her, and he would love for her to get some new clothes. So he's just convinced that he's going to roast this damn lady. So he starts yelling, and he's upset, and he tells everybody to get out and leave him alone. And he uses his money to wipe away his tears because he's in his feelings. So it goes over to Danny at work at the airport, right? She's at the airport, and Fuego shows up at the airport. And Danny's making insinuations that he's moving dope, all types of crazy jokes. And he says, nah, I'm going to Miami. And he asks her if they're dating because he's been trying to date her since college. She says, but you're a stripper. What if I was a stripper? And he was like, well, you were a stripper last night. And she was like, oh, not last night was just fun. And he says, I can have any woman I want. Which, by the way, dudes, that does not work. That doesn't turn anybody on. It's mess. And he's like, I can have any woman I want, and you do this. And he tells her to stop being rude. And she asks if he's done. Go be in your feelings in Miami. So as all this is happening, he leaves. He storms off. Some dude is ear hustling because his flight is delayed. And he starts to try to holler at her, right? She tells him to go sit at his gate, mind his business. He questions her customer service, and he gives her his ticket to prove he's a customer. She sees that he's checked in and gets embarrassed. So he asks if he could stay at her gate and just have a seat. So she says, please, go ahead, please do. He introduces himself as a dude named Logan, and she says her name is Uninterested. So she tells him he's delayed and he can go to the bar or the food court. He says, nothing I say will work with you, will it? And she says, nope, brick wall. So there's the title. Ta-da! That's the whole point of this episode. She's a brick wall now. She's a brick wall. So she walks over to her coworker and says she wants to report a dude to the airport because he's basically acting like a pimp, and she wants to report him to the police. And her friend is like, why would I report him? He's just sitting there, even though he's suspicious. Why don't I just keep an eye on him? She says that trafficking in Atlanta is real, and you guys told me if I see something, say something, and now you don't want to do anything. He says, I'll keep an eye out. And she said that eye is old as hell and ain't gonna do nothing. He's like, you know what? I'm about to go on my break. And she's frustrated because nothing's gonna happen. At first, I thought she was just hating on the man and trying to get him in trouble for no reason. But I saw the previews of the next episode, so I guess this trafficking thing is going to be a thing. So you know how Tyler Perry does. So she goes back to her desk and he asks if she wants to talk, and she's like, hell no, I don't want to talk to you. So it pans over to Zach, and he's at his house because I guess he came into some money, and he's talking to contractors. And Karen walks up and interrupts. He said, why didn't you call? She explains that there's a cop looking for him, and she didn't want to be trapped. He says he's not doing anything illegal and that they're not together. So why does she care? And she says she doesn't want her unborn baby daddy in jail. So I'm like, oh, she's pregnant. Plot thickens. Learn something new every day. Like I said, I'm new to this show. He tells her to go on some damn well with that energy because he didn't want that drama. He says everything is legal with his money. He tells Karen, if the cop comes around again, give her his number. Karen says, okay. And she asks because she's trying to be nosy to see the house. But he says it's not safe because she's pregnant. She leaves and gets pissed off because she was parked down the road. And he's like, why are you walking? She's like, I parked down the block to protect you. So now he feels bad for treating her bad. He's like, well, seeing the house that important? And he calls Fatima to figure out what's going on. So we're back to Sabrina and the Panty Man. And they're worried that their plan for Maurice isn't going to work. I guess the plan of reuniting Maurice with Sabrina as friends. He asks her if he can take her out to her favorite restaurant instead of staying in after they hook up Maurice. And she says, great. And she's like, but I don't want Maurice to know that I'm a part of the hookup. I'll only take credit if it works. So, she's being a little shady. She only wants to take credit if it goes well. So they start Maurice comes out. He starts roasting the Panty Man again, saying he'll hope he doesn't pass out like Wendy in the Statue of Liberty. So that's a reference to Wendy Williams passing out on her show. And he starts yelling at Sabrina to go back to work. And so basically he's the boss. He tells everybody to go. That ends that scene. Goes back to Andy telling Fatima about that huge, these are her words, huge, massive D. And in the middle of her talking about that dick, the phone rings. And Fatima gets up and answers. And it's really weird that Fatima would be the one that jumps up in her office. And then the phone was so far away from her and covered by flowers, it was hard for her to even find the doggone phone. So it's her assistant saying that Mr. Borders, which I guess is Gary, the crazy ex's name, is there. And Fatima's like, I'll go out there and meet him. So Gary says he needs to see Andy. And Fatima lies and says she's not there. He says he knows that she's there. And she says that she's in a meeting. Well, Gary said, I will wait till she's done. And Fatima's like, well, you'll be waiting till tomorrow. And she's not. And he's upset because she's not taking his call. So she's just pissed. So he busts out to walk through the back. And they're threatening to call security. And Fatima said, nah, I'll handle it. And she was like, I will beat your ass in front of these white people. I will act up. Or I can pretend to fall down the stairs so you can catch a case. So he's like, oh, shit, let me be out. And he leaves. So they go back to Andy's office, and Fatima says that she's happy that she found somebody to be with. That's when Andy drops the bomb and says Robin is their boss, like the entire boss. And he puts the older white man in the front, but he actually runs the entire division, and he got money, private jet and all. So Fatima's like, oh, yes. I'm here for it. And Andy says she's not going to rush like Fatima and Zach did. And maybe you're only doing that because Zach has money now. And Fatima's like, nope, I actually have feelings for Zach. Then all of a sudden in the background, you see everybody in the office running. I'm like, oh, shoot, is an active shooter? What's going on in this bitch? Like, do we need to duck under the desk? And all of a sudden they bust in and say that the assistant busts in and said Hayden has been found dead in the parking lot. And my question is, throughout this whole show, who the hell is Hayden? Who is Hayden? But I'm guessing from the recap, Hayden is the dude that was threatening Zach to go to the feds about that money, and Fatima got him beat up. So I guess Fatima is a boss chick too. So that's how the episode ended, and I'm just going to say about this show, it was all over the place, but it was cool enough to follow. There were some funny moments, a little bit of drama. It's still not too heavy. You can't take it too seriously. But one thing I can say, the people were beautiful. The outfits were beautiful. They really know how to shoot black people and catch their skin tones, and everybody's hair was right. I was mesmerized with Andy's hair the entire time. So I will definitely review this show and be back with episode 2. So if you know more about this show and you want to give me a little bit of insight and perspective, because I have no idea what the hell I just watched, leave a comment. Remember to like, subscribe, share, tell all your friends, and I will be back on Tuesday with a new review. Sepia Scholar out.